Hello everyone, welcome back to our daily trading forecast. So in this video, we are going to mainly talk about the 5 most focused markets: the euro against the US dollar, the gold, the Nasdaq, US oil, and the Bitcoin. And we're going to share it in 3 simple steps. Number 1 is what has happened so far, what's going to happen, and what is our trading plan, so you can make your own decision whether or not to take up our trading idea and boost your profitability. So let's kick off with the euro against the US dollar. Now, so today we saw that the price continues to go down. All right, it is still supported at this demand zone. So based on what has happened last week is that we saw that it found resistance at the top of this falling channel. Now, of course, there is a demand zone, a supply zone right at the top right here. If you go to a 4-hourly time frame, all right, that would be more obvious to your eyes. All right, you can see that a lot of price is being a lot of trades has been congested right here, so therefore create supplies. And therefore, well, after a persistent or the constant resistance right at this level last week, it finally came all the way down last Friday, and it closed lower than the previous low, creating a lower low, and right now it is sitting right at the top of this demand zone. So going forward, we expect that the price will continue to go down. One of the reasons, I think, it is the stance of the central bank. So if you compare ECB against the Federal Reserve, well, the ECB has no means in terms of tapering at all right now, and of course not to even mention about raising interest rate or not. That's not going to happen at all. But as for the Federal Reserve, there's already some sort of market sentiment that they might need to start to taper. So in that case, when it comes to currency itself, the US dollar will start to rise and the euro will continue to fall. So technically speaking, we saw that there is already a breakout of this rising channel that has been lasted for like 2 months. And most importantly, if we look at the daily time frame, it is at an all-time high right now. I would say that since last year up to now, for this 1.5 year, it is definitely trading at a high. And based on this range we have right here, a symmetrical triangle, it is definitely at a high as well. So there's plenty of room for it to continue to go down. So therefore, today, our plan is to wait for an opportunity to sell again. I could definitely like to sell when it pulls back into this supply zone right at the top. All right, because simply this is where the price has been supported all the time, or rather it has been a good demand zone for last week, and it finally broke below. So definitely a lot of trades, or rather a lot of buyers going to be trapped right here. So wait for a pullback. All right, somewhere closer to this level, we will definitely be able to see a pretty strong selling pressure or supply. From there onwards, you can always pull out a Fibonacci from this swing high to this swing low, and just aim for the 61.8% pullback at 1.2154. All right, to be very exact. So this is where we want to continue to sell the euro against the US dollar. And as of the targets, let's say if we were to sell right here, then in terms of the stop loss, I believe we don't have to go too far or too high, maybe just right above the swing high right here. And as for the targets, we can definitely look all the way back into this demand zone. In fact, I would like to change or shift this demand zone to this area instead, because this is where the price came down and there's a lot of resistance right here. It turned into support before it goes even up, goes up even further. So there's very strong buying right here. Therefore, this will create better demand for the markets. So definitely, if there's a pullback to this level, we'll target this area instead. That will be somewhere 1.2060. All right, and of course, going forward, we'll look at the lowest price, one of the most important demand, or rather an equilibrium level. I should actually put this as an equilibrium level for the past, let's say, for the past 1 to 2 years as well, not too long. So basically, it's somewhere in the middle of the entire range, and that will be at 1.2 flat. All right, so that's for the euro against the US dollar. Let's move on. All right, next up we have the gold. So for the gold itself, last week again we saw that the US dollar appreciated, gold came down, and today, this morning itself, it started to go down further, and right now we are seeing the breakout of this rising channel lasted for 2 months. So if the price were to close lower today, right below the bottom of the channel, there is a very good chance we are going to see more selling. But however, we also still want to take note of this equilibrium zone that we have right here. We know that this is somewhere in the middle of this entire range we have, from the swing high all the way to the swing low. This is somewhere in the middle, lots of supports and lots of resistance. So this level has to be broken in order for the price to go down even further. Right now, if we go to the 4-hourly time frame, well, like I say, if the price were to be able to close lower today, or in fact in the 4-hourly time frame, it has already closed below, run as a third candlestick, so it can be seen as a breakout. And therefore, if let's say later on there's a pullback towards this level, at this supply zone, very obvious, the area that the price broke out from, that will be about 1,878, or let's just put 1,875, easier to remember. That is also the, well, let's put a Fibonacci retracement and see what level is that. All right, it will have shown you that that is somewhere at the 38.2%, decent level to look to sell. But of course, there's always a possibility it pulls all the way back to 61.8%, because over here there's another breakout as well, right? So these two areas will be a pretty critical level for us to look to sell the gold. But of course, like I say, if the price hasn't break below this the equilibrium level, there is always a good chance the gold may make a comeback, and if it does, it will go up really fast, because at the end of the day the fundamentals still stays the same. Inflation is rising, there's very high risk of rising inflation, and therefore the gold always perform well in a market situation like this. So even though technically right now in the shorter time frame we are seeing a selling pressure, we've got to be really careful about it, because at the end of the day it is still within this range, right now it's at the bottom. So I do think that going forward, my trading plan rather is that I will still try to buy. Alright, I'll still try to buy at the low right here, hopefully still within the equilibrium level, at least all the way until it reaches this demand zone. Alright, this is the most important demand I'm actually looking at, because you can see that as price goes up to this level, there is a lot of uncertainty right here, a lot of buying and selling going on right here, and eventually it then went up, came down, finds support at the same region, and then it goes all the way up. It came back before as well and still rebounded off. So definitely within this region, there's definitely a good amount of volume, or rather demand, that can help to push the gold price upwards again. Alright, so for today, more or less I'm still waiting to buy instead when it reaches the level right here, and we can just put it as 1850 as the best price to buy. Alright, so let's say if we were to buy right here, well, somewhere right here I think we can have a minimum stop loss, maybe about 120 pips. So this level right here is at 1840. If it goes up, alright, of course we'll look at the breakout level right here, 1875, and then to the top right here 1884, and of course all the way back to the top of this trend line. Alright, so that's the final level we are looking at in terms of intraday. Alright, so I think that's pretty much for the gold right now. The thing is that we want to be very careful, or rather we want to take note that this week is a FOMC week. Alright, the federal meeting, which will be happening on Thursday 2 a.m. and 2:30 a.m. for the press conference. So the markets will be expected to be low on volatility. There will be a lot of uncertainty before the FOMC statement, as the market is still looking at the Federal Reserve, whether will it be tapering or not. How are they looking at the current inflation right now, as well as the labor markets? Those are very key, important data for them to make decisions on their interest rate, and of course the reduction or the tapering of their hot money right now. So this is something you got to know. Alright, so just be very careful with your trading. Alright, so that is pretty much for the gold. And moving on, let's look at the Nasdaq. Alright, so the Nasdaq today itself, we saw that the price actually opened higher in the Asian markets. Alright, so there's a gap up over the weekend, and finally it has reached the previous high, almost reaching right at about 14,040. So right now we are seeing a little bit of pullback. Well, in any case, I think that the Nasdaq will continue to go up. I do not think that the Federal Reserve will just end their hot money that easily. Even if they are going to do so, it's going to be at a very much slower pace. Therefore, in terms of the US stock market, well, I think that in the short to mid-term, I'll still be bullish on it. And of course, looking at all the breakouts, technical breakouts right here, there's very little reason for us to go and actually sell the US stock market. And therefore, in my case, I will just wait. Still, I'll just need to wait for a pullback. Obviously, the best area to buy the gain is when it pulls back to this previous resistance and support level. You can see a lot of buy and selling activities going on right here. So when it goes pulls back this level, starting from 13,900 onwards, right, all the way to about 13,850. This will be the region that we want to look to buy the Nasdaq again. And therefore, if we were to buy right here, well, stop loss. Well, even of course, even the big, very conservative can go all the way down to the previous low. But I think if you can place it at somewhere 88.6% pullback level, what I mean by that is when you pull a Fibonacci retracement, right, look for 88.6 somewhere right here should be pretty enough, alright, because usually the pullback won't come back down so much. In terms of target, just go all the way back to the previous high, alright, and of course last but the final target will be all the way back to the top of this rising wedge. And I think in my weekly forecast I did mention that there's a possibility, or it can potentially go all the way to 14,500. So that will be the final target if you are going to buy the Nasdaq. And that's also pretty much for the Nasdaq. And moving on, we have the US oil, or the WTI. So for the WTI, at the very beginning of this week, it kept going upwards. I'm really just waiting for a better pullback for me to buy again. But obviously, we still don't see an opportunity to do so. But in any case, as usual, I'm not going to chase after the markets. I'll still continue to wait patiently and wait for the pullback at least, right, back to 70-ish. Alright, this previous resistance, alright, turning support. I mean, if you go to the 1 hourly time frame, obviously there's a lot of buying and selling activities right here. So definitely a lot of orders are being trapped here. I mean, the selling orders, people trying to sell at a high. Of course, if it goes into this level, we're also at the bottom of this rising channel. If let's say we are going to buy right here, then stop loss obviously just somewhere right the low right here. Target wise is all the way back previous high and then towards the top of this rising channel. Going higher, it goes all the way to the major equilibrium level, 76. So that would be the most key level I'm looking at in terms of the upside for the WTI before we see any form of a major reversal or the major pullback in that sense. Alright, so that's pretty much for the US oil. And going forward, we have the Bitcoin yesterday. So again, Elon Musk tweeted something. This time around, they are saying they are going to accept Bitcoin as a form of transaction. To the mining can be more green in the sense. So he has really been playing around with this market, trying to push the price all the way down. Very low price. I think that would be a very good price for him to buy more Bitcoin again. And right now he's coming out to say things like this, trying to push the price higher again. I mean, that's just my own speculation, but this is how it looks to me. So in that case, in the technical chart, of course, we have been seeing a lot of a support right at the bottom, a lot of demand at the 50% pullback. So the thing is that I think in my weekly forecast, I did mention like, hey, we can just wait for a pullback towards this supply zone, right? Then we can sell. As you can see, when it goes shoot all the way up to this level, there is little to no resistance at all. So hopefully when you see something like this, you don't actually really go and sell it, because obviously the buying strength is very strong. Something must have happened, all right, for you to go in this manner. And of course, you want to keep in mind that there has been multiple supports and multiple rebound from this level. All right, so in any case, right now it has already broke out of this falling channel, or rather a consolidation. So going forward, I do think that with the hype that's going on right now, at least over during the weekdays, during the trading weeks, apart from the weekend, I think there will still be more opportunity to continue to buy. So if you are looking to buy the Bitcoin, well, just wait for pullback again. All right, hopefully it can come back to this level, right at the trend line, or back to this demand zone where the price break out of this trend line. All right, or rather the top of the channel. So 2 levels, I think I'll just make it more specific. All right, so number 1, all right, you can see the price has paused right here, because a lot of selling is coming as well at this point, definitely, because it's at the top of the consolidation. So you feel it went up, so there's a breakout right here. There's a lot of traps going on, and therefore this would be a good price to consider buying. But if it pulls back even further, then the next best price would definitely be right here. All right, a breakout of this falling trend line. The first price 37,500 all the way down to about 36,001 or 200. All right, these are the 2 levels we can look to buy the Bitcoin. Target wise, we can look all the way back to about 41,800, because that is a very important resistance, as you can see. All right, there's a previous high here, resistance right here. So when it comes back to this level, of course we want to take note of it. But if it really continues to go all the way up, all right, my final targets, I'm not looking at new historical high again. I don't think it's going to happen that soon. I may be wrong, but that's just how I look at it based on the historical data I have right here. The highest I'm looking at is all the way back to this neckline. All right, very key supply zone at from 47,600 onwards, all the way to the highest will be somewhere at 49,800. This will be the region I would definitely, if I buy the Bitcoin, is where I'll definitely take profit. All right, and then very likely I'll go and sell at that point, right, at that level. Okay, so that will be in our our video later on. All right, so that's for the Bitcoin. All right, very straightforward. I mean, well, I'll just put this out for you guys to see. Stop loss, well, just somewhere right the low right here, the day low right here. Okay, or rather last week low would be enough. And target wise, the first one is right here, so that will still give you a pretty good 2:1, almost 2:1 reward risk ratio, and all the way to into this key supply zone. So that is for the Bitcoin. Alright, so that's all for today. If you like what we are doing right here, do hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, stay updated, and we will see you again tomorrow.